name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. Now, Paranormal Activity is one of those franchises that people love to hate, and I've never understood why. The first movie is legitimately great. The second, third, and fourth movies are pretty decent. The marked ones is mediocre, and the Ghost Dimension is a pile shit. But 4 out of 6 ain't bad, and this movie keeps that trend going. Now, I did try to watch this movie last Friday night, but my internet was so bad and nothing was loading properly. So I watched 3 minutes of this movie, but it took me 15 minutes to get to those 3 minutes. So every word was kind of like and it was always interrupted by a loading screen. You get what I'm saying. So I was just like, you know what, I'm not even going to try anymore. So tonight I gave it another shot and my internet was working much better this time and I finally got to watch it, and yeah, like I said, it's a decent movie. It's not like it's a completely different movie from the rest of the Paranormal Activity movies. There's definitely similarities, but I also think not enough people are giving this movie credit for how different it is in the finale. You can argue that up until the finale, it's same old. We've seen this beat a billion times, but I think the finale of this movie really allows this movie to stand out. In fact, I kind of wish the finale was longer because I just loved it that much. I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets really wild in the best kind of way, and I loved it. So anyone who's saying that this movie feels the same as the other ones, I completely disagree. Even the way this movie ends with the credits feels different than the rest of the Paranormal Activity movies, which is nice when a franchise is 7 movies in and it does something different. That way, it's not like, okay, this is getting stale. In fact, it kind of freshens up the formula. It freshens up the franchise and keeps it alive, and I love that this movie did that. Now, my biggest problem with this movie is a byproduct of the Paranormal Activity franchise, and that's the fact that it's found footage. I do not think this movie needed to be found footage, and I don't even think it wanted to be found footage. There are so many times where I'm just like, who's filming this now? Really? Like, there's a shot in the beginning of the movie where they're traveling to the main location for the movie, and they're in a vehicle, and there's overhead shots of the van, and there's music playing, and I'm just like, this isn't found footage. In the very next shot, we see some guy controlling a drone, but just the fact that you have to suspend logic by that much to justify one shot, it just shows you that it's not the top priority on their mind, and I don't think it should be. The reason why we loved found footage to begin with was that it looked like real life. When we watched the Blair Witch Project, it actually looked like a group of friends got lost in the woods and disappeared. It looked and sounded real. So you just got fully immersed into that situation. In Paranormal Activity, when we all loved it, and yes, you loved it at one point too, it was great because it looked and felt and sounded like a couple who started hearing noises at night and decided to record themselves at night. It felt real. It immersed you into that situation, making it all the more terrifying. Same with Wreck. I think that's a fantastic movie that uses found footage to immerse you in the terrifying situation. But then there's also movies like Chronicle, which is a movie that I love, but the found footage aspect of that movie just took me out of it every single time. And that's the case here. There's so many points where I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm tired of this camera thing. It looks too clean and too crisp to the point where it doesn't immerse you in what's going on. And I just don't think it actually added anything to the movie whatsoever. I think this movie would have been exactly the same, if not better, if it wasn't found footage. So I didn't like that aspect. This movie isn't really that scary, but there are moments where I found myself locked in what was going on, and I could feel the tension and the atmosphere building, and those moments were really effective. And not to give anything away, but there's a couple moments in this movie that reminded me of The Descent that I really loved. I loved everything involving the Descent-like aspect of this movie. I thought that was a fantastic addition to this franchise. And I also love the setting to this movie. It takes place in an Amish village by the woods, and it's winter time, and you just feel the cold in moments, you just feel the isolation, and I thought that was another great element to this movie that really allowed it to stand out, because in every other Paranormal Activity movie, I do believe, the other movies take take place in a neighborhood, but this movie takes place with people that the main characters don't know, in a place they aren't familiar with, in a place that's filled with creepy atmosphere. So just because of that, you feel the isolation all the more so. The performances are pretty decent. There's no amazing performances, but no one's really all that bad either. The best performance to me was Tom the Rookie. I just thought he had a unique quality to his character that allowed him to be more menacing. And in regards to my problems, I actually don't have a lot. There's one scene where the main character is trapped in a room and she has to go out on the roof in the middle of the night, and then they cut away right before she gets off of the roof, and I'm just like, why would you cut it off there? Why not keep the scene going? That could have been a really intense scene, but for some reason they didn't do that. Some of the writing, some of the dialogue isn't the best. There's one scene where the guy's just like, we have no cars, no phones, and in my head I was just thinking, and our pets' heads are falling off, but the guy didn't actually say that. But my biggest problem with this movie really is the use of found footage. I really don't think it was needed here. The writing isn't the best, it's not a scary movie even though it does have its moments, and it does follow a familiar story structure that we've seen countless times, but while this movie freshens things up in the last act and with the location of this movie, I thought that was a great addition to this franchise. The performances are decent enough. I was entertained throughout, and once again, I love the descent angle to this movie. And yeah, it's not great, it's not going to blow your mind, but if you want to watch a movie for an hour and 40 minutes and be like, oh, that was decent, then you can do worse than Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. So I'm going to go ahead and give Paranormal Activity Next of Kin a 6 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Paranormal Activity Next of Kin? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.